What's up guys, today we're going to be going over 3 of the best swords in the game right now, the Dark Drinker 2.0, aka the Falling Guillotine, then also the Goldtusk and Throne-Cleaver, which are the class-based swords from Heroic Menagerie. And pretty much every single time I made a video on swords this season, I've seen multiple comments asking about these two, and the reason I haven't showed them off so far is 1, I just simply don't have them on my account because I don't play those characters and never got them from Heroic Menagerie. And 2, they're being sunset after the season, which means they'll no longer be able to be used in the end game. But now that Beyond Light has been delayed, we have nearly 4 more months of the same box with these weapons, so that decision between these 3 swords is a little bit more important now, because there's still a lot of time left where that decision will actually matter. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video, comparing all 3 of the swords and seeing which one is the best for all the DPS and total damage output numbers. So first, starting with the Guillotine, which we have showed off multiple times this season. It's going to have Jagged Edge and also Whirlwind Blade, and that is going to be what all 3 of the swords will have in this video because that is the best role for boss fights. So refreshing some of the numbers real quick, after the change to the heavy attack, it's going to hit 13,238 on a light attack on Greg. Then on a heavy attack, it's only hit for 10,789 7 times for a total of 75,523 per heavy attack, which is higher than it was before the fix. So I don't know what's going on there, but now it's doing 5.7 times the damage of a light attack, and it only consumes 4 ammo, so it's definitely worth the trade-off of the 4 ammo. Now look at the damage with Whirlwind Blade. It's going to go up by 6% every single stack for a total of 30%, which means the heavy attack is now hitting for just under 100,000. I'm not quite sure why the numbers went up on the heavy attack after the fix, but they did. And for this video, all the different rate of fires of the swings with swords will be using Lucent Blade with the second part, which greatly increases the charge rate of your equipped swords, which means we'll be able to heavy attack more often. Then on the Guillotine, we have Swordmaster's Guard, which will be the best guard option. The other 2 swords, you have no option, it's just 1 per sword. So first, looking at the combo on the Guillotine, where you do 5 light attacks to get ×5, then 1 heavy attack. That takes 3.1 seconds, meaning 54.9 thousand DPS, which is pretty good. But like we showed off in previous videos, instead you could just do 9 light attacks instead, and that will take 4.1 seconds, meaning DPS is only 34,000. So obviously with the Guillotine, it's always going to be worthwhile to use your heavy attack, which brings me to the question of, should you start with a heavy attack and then follow up with the normal combo? And doing that takes 4.689 seconds, and the DPS goes to 53.7 thousand, so it's actually a little bit lower to start with a heavy attack compared to just doing light attacks into a heavy attack. Also, the sword holds 55 ammo, which means at least 1.1 million total damage. If you have things like Tireless Blade or even Relentless Strikes, that's obviously going to go even higher because you're going to be getting ammo back as you use the ammo. But either way, 1.1 million is like a crazy amount of damage. So now moving on to the Hunter Sword, the Goldtusk, once again with Jagged Edge and also Whirlwind Blade. Looking at the damage on Greg, it's going to hit the same number for the light attack, that 13,238, but the heavy attack will be a lot lower at 39.7 thousand, so the heavy attack is only 3 times the damage of a light attack, and it only consumes 3 ammo, so it's actually a direct even trade-off. You use 3 ammo for 3 times the damage of a light attack. Now once again, looking at the Whirlwind Blade numbers, it's going to be the exact same as the Guillotine for the light attacks, then the heavy attack will be 51.6 thousand. So since this sword swings a lot quicker than the Guillotine, you're going to be able to do 6 light attacks between every heavy attack instead of the 5 with the Guillotine, which means the combo is going to look a little bit more like 6 light attacks into a heavy attack, which once again consumes 9 ammo, taking 3.2 seconds, meaning the DPS is just over 44,000, which is going to be lower than the Guillotine. But since the light attacks are a lot quicker, we can also try just 9 light attacks instead to see if that will raise the DPS, taking 3.8 seconds. And that DPS is 37,000, which is better than that of the Guillotine light attacks, but still not even close to the full combo. And once again, we can also try with doing the heavy attack first, then 6 light attacks into a heavy attack again. And once again, that's going to be slightly lower DPS than just doing 6 light attacks into your first heavy attack, so you shouldn't start with a heavy attack necessarily. This sword also holds 70 ammo, which means 1.2 million total damage output, which once again is actually insane. And finally, moving on to the Throne-Cleaver, which once again with Jagged Edge and Whirlwind and Tier 10 Impact Masterwork. Look at damage on Greg, it's finally going to be different on a light attack at 19,857. Then if we wait for Whirlwind to go away and do a heavy attack, it's going to be a huge animation hitting 59,571. So just like the Goldtusk, it's going to be doing exactly 3x damage of a light attack. And since it also uses 3 ammo just like the Goldtusk, that's going to be a perfectly even trade-off of damage per ammo. Once again, looking at the Whirlwind Blade numbers on the sword, it's going to go a lot higher than the previous ones because of the base damage is a lot higher. Now hitting 77,442 on a heavy attack, which is actually higher than that of the Guillotine. And this sword comes with heavy guard on it, which which means the recharge rate is going to be a lot slower than previous swords, which means you can do a combo of 5 light attacks into 1 heavy attack. But I was kind of waiting around to do a full heavy attack right there, so instead, just like the Goldtusk, the more efficient way of doing it will be 6 light attacks then 1 heavy attack, which once again that entire combo consumes 9 ammo. So looking at the DPS numbers of this sword, first was just doing 6 light attacks into 1 heavy attack. That takes 4.955 seconds, meaning DPS is 43,281, which is going to be pretty similar to the first combo we did with Goldtusk. Now once again, we just do light attacks like we were before, 9 light attacks with this weapon at 5.79 seconds, which once again makes the DPS drop off. So every sword in the game, it's always going to be worthwhile to do your heavy attack whenever you have it. Then once again, answering the question of should you do a heavy attack first with this sword, the answer still is no, but this time it's going to be a lot closer than the previous swords. It's pretty much the exact same either way. So with this one, you can kind of do whatever you want. And finally, with the sword, we hold 42 ammo with no reserve perks, which means 1.1 million damage again, which is kind of crazy of how well balanced these different swords are in terms of their total ammo reserves compared to their damage per light attack and heavy attack. And when you multiply those two together for the total damage output, they're pretty much all the exact same. So the Guillotine was the best DPS option, which doesn't really surprise me. The heavy attack on that thing just does so much damage. And that doesn't necessarily mean that our swords are bad in any way. They're still very good for heavy weapons, and they're definitely very unique and can kind of change up your playstyle. So looking at a few builds with these swords, if I was on Warlock, I'd honestly be using the Guillotine because that would be my only option, and I'd be using it with my typical Warlock build, which is going to be Wither Horde, then also a Seraph / Achilles weapon. Then I'm going to be using Bottom Tree Voidwalker for Devour. On this build, I have Verity's Brow. Then we also have Global Reach, then whatever enhanced reloader you need. Then my chest piece I have Lucent Blade plus an Arc mod to get the second perk on the mod. Then on my boots I have a lot of things going on. First, Reactive Pulse plus Sword Scavenger, that way I get the second part of the finisher part of that perk, and also enhanced Sword Scavenger off the artifact. Then finally on my bot I have Oppressive Darkness and also Blast Radius. So that's my typical Warlock build that I use for pretty much everything in the game. It's super strong and I absolutely love it. Then on Hunter, if I was going to be using the Goldtusk, on my account I have Quick Fang because I don't have the updated version. I'd be using it with the Ruinous Effigy Stealth build, which is going to be all about Bottom Tree Night Stalker. Also pairing that with Graviton Forfeit for increased invisibility duration. And we also have Stacks on Stacks, Lucent Blade once again. Then we have Charge Harvester to become Charge of Light. Then finally we have Reactive Pulse once again. And I've already made a video breaking down this build, but the whole point of it is you get a relic to drop, then you go invis, and while blocking with the relic, it does not take you out of invisibility, and you can kill stuff pretty much for free without them even knowing where you're at. And this pairs really well with the Goldtusk because it's going to be kind of like a ninja-like build. Whenever you get up to a major or a target that you need to kill with your sword, you can be invisible to get close to them. Then you also have Lucent Blade for that 35% more damage. You also have Oppressive Darkness on your Void Grenade. So you have the full buff and debuff combo for your sword. Then also you just kind of pop out of invisibility and you're just good to go. And you can kind of just sneak attack wherever you want. So that build's really cool. It's all about stealth and you're pretty much as close to being a ninja as you can in Destiny 2. Then finally on Titan, if I was going to use the Throne-Cleaver, I'd once again be using it with one of my existing builds already uploaded, which is going to be Monte Carlo, then also the Achilles Shotgun. And the mods we're going to be using is Sustained Charge to become Charged with Light with auto rifle kills. We're going to have Doomfang Pauldron to help with our super. And we're going to have Lucent Blade once again. Then we're going to have Heavy Handed for both our melee, then also our shotgun. And then finally Oppressive Darkness and Global Reach. And on this build you can use whatever path of Sentinel you want. I prefer Middle Tree for ad clear. But the whole idea of this build is you pretty much use your melee ability to get your super very quickly. Then also proc the full perk of Monte Carlo, which absolutely shreds. Then also will help you get your melee back even quicker, which means getting your super back. So you pretty much do that as much as you want. Then you also have the EP shotgun, which with the help of Heavy Handed will pretty much be infinite ammo as long as you're not spamming it. And also will create Warmind cells for you. Then finally, just like the previous builds, you have Charge with Light with Lucent Blade. That way when you get up to a target you need to kill with your sword, you have that 35% buff. And then also a Void Grenade for the Oppressive Darkness debuff. So you have that full combo going like usual, and you're good to go. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the video. The Darkdrinker 2.0, aka the Guillotine, was definitely the best, which isn't really that surprising to me. But that doesn't mean you can't use the other swords. The other swords are still very good and are very unique and can offer you a break and using the exact same sword all the time, which is pretty good and definitely something you should do here and there. So I wouldn't recommend going to farm Heroic Menagerie to get either of these swords if you don't already have one. But if you do have one, it's definitely something you can throw on and have a good time with. Anyways, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.